Welcome, everyone. We'll start in about 1 minute. Yep. John, 6:30. 6:30. Can you believe that? Council, you want to wait? Can we do that? No, we can't. Well, we could. All right, welcome everybody to our July council meeting. Council member John Sweat will be here in a few minutes, and Terry he is out of the state. He is down somewhere in Florida, I believe. Yeah. So we'll start off with the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silent prayer. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll move on to approval of the minutes from May 11th, May 14th, June 11th, and June 13th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor, raise your hand. On the presentations, we'll be doing a presentation, a proclamation recognizing July's Parks and Rec Month. And for Sam Leader, his remembrance, we would really want to have his wife and children here. So we're going to move this to the August meeting. Is that okay with council to do that? Okay, thank you very much. He passed away 5 years ago, one of our council members. And it's very important that we keep him in our memories and thoughts. He was a big part of our community. We're now going to do the presentation proclamation recognizing July as Parks and Rec. So, Lloyd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Calling Jay, our Deputy Director, to come forward. He's going to accept this on behalf of Parks and Recreation.
Great. So Jay, come on over here, and for the record, I want to go ahead and read the proclamation, and then you have some comments. We also have some pictures here we want to show. This proclamation, whereas Parks and Rec is an integral part of the community throughout the country, including the city of Concord, and is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near our parks. Whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance, well-being, and alleviating illness such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recs encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. Whereas Parks and Recreation is a leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education. Whereas Parks and Recreation programs and educational activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. Whereas Parks and Recreation increases the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and attention of businesses, and crime reduction. Whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provides a place for our children and adults to connect with nature and to recreate outdoors. Whereas the U.S. House of Representatives had designated July as Parks and Recs Month. Now therefore, I, William C. Dush, Mayor of City of Concord, along with City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Concord, North Carolina, and urge all citizens to utilize our community parks, greenways, and activities. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll sort of get a shot here together, and then you can go ahead and make a few comments here. Thank you. Go ahead, Jay.
Thank you for the proclamation. Since 1985, July has been recognized around the country for Park and Recreation Month, which is a great opportunity for City of Concord and other departments around the country to showcase all the great facilities and programs and offerings that we have. And Park and Rec team has actually partnered with the Public Affairs team to show a couple slides, including a video about what we're doing this month to celebrate Park and Rec Month on top of all of our activities and our programs. We're also reflecting back on the year that we just had since July of last year and looking at all of our numbers. And since July of last year, when we kicked off the new fiscal year, we had over 390,000 people visit our greenways.
Wow.
Our staff implemented 611 programs that had over 26,000 attendees. And then we had over 127,000 people visit our rec centers. So staff's doing a phenomenal job with our programs, our facilities, and then we'll showcase a few other things as we show this video.
That's great, Jay. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
July is National Park and Rec Month. It's the perfect time to go outside, visit our greenways, check out Lake Fisher, visit Clearwater Art Center, or cool off at the pool. To celebrate, we're giving away some awesome prizes. For a chance to win, anytime you visit one of our parks or facilities, post a picture on Facebook or Instagram and tag our Parks and Rec page. At the end of the month, we'll do a random drawing and announce your winners. You get bonus entries if you follow our page and comment on this post. We also have more excitement to come. Tune in each Wednesday in July for chances to win a prize. Happy Parks and Rec Month, Concord. We encourage all of our residents to tag us in a picture if they go visit one of these facilities and like the post that we did on Facebook. If they do that, they'll be entered to win a prize at the end of the month. In addition to that campaign, we are also having some fun with our facilities, and we're asking the public to try to find out where we are every single Wednesday. So each Wednesday in the month of July, which there's 5 Wednesdays, we're posting a different location that we operate. And we're asking folks to try to name that location. Last week was the first Wednesday. So as you can see, there was a picture of the Moss Creek Greenway overlook over the water there. We had 21 people that made a guess, and we had one person that was the winner. We chose randomly out of those 21 comments. We're gonna do that every single week on Wednesdays throughout the month of July. Posted a picture yesterday as well. So the goal behind that, you know, like I said, we wanna encourage more people visiting our facilities, bring more awareness to our facilities, but also get more engagement with our residents on our social media platforms. So hopefully the friends and families of our residents that see that, they can share that page and they can bring awareness to them following the page as well, so we can get more people to see our facilities that may not know that we have our greenways or Lake Fisher or the Clearwater Arts Center. So that is it. We're excited about all the things we're doing for Park and Rec Month.
Well, one thing else that was very good in your video, you had the new pickleball courts.
Yes.
At Myers Park.
Pickleball courts have been a huge success. Every time I've been out there, they are nearly full. And we've actually had a lot of conversations with the residents using the courts about asking for additional courts, which we're happy to tell them that our other park projects that are being built through other projects with the bonds, including Ramsar Park, will have more pickleball courts.
Excellent. Right.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're moving down to departmental reports. Number 2, downtown streetscape update. We did number 1 on Tuesday.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Kaylee and Paige are going to come forward and tag team their monthly report to council on the streetscape project, and then Jackie's going to come up and clarify some things from the discussion that council had on Tuesday evening. So Kaylee?
And before you start, welcome Council Member Sweat. Glad you can make it.
Thanks, sir.
Go ahead.
Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, and Ms. Deason. We'll get started with the construction update. We have a lot to cover tonight. So the completed work since last month, they are through the intersection with the water main as well as the sewer. So we are through Cabarrus Avenue with both water and sewer, and they are getting started on the stormwater. They've also completed the first 8 feet of concrete sidewalk on both sides from the mid-block to Cabarrus, and you can see in that top left photo when that was being poured. They have 90% of the landscape drains, which is just on the east side of Union Street from the mid-block to Cabarrus. The last 10% will be done as they kind of get out of the intersection and start grading that area. Soil cells are 40% complete. They're working on them today, and we'll continue to working on them until they're complete up to Cabarrus Avenue. And then they've also worked on the brick pavers. So that bottom left photo is when they had the reinforcement for the concrete. They've gotten that all the way up through the brick pavers since that date in June 28th. On the right side, before I move on, is just a photo of when they're working on the water line through Cabarrus Avenue. So current work, as I mentioned, they're working on storm drainage through the intersection. They anticipate, as of our meeting this afternoon, that to take 1.5 to 2 weeks for both sides of the intersection. Granite restraints near the mid-block crosswalk, they have to do the granite before they can bring the concrete in and then do the brick pavers in that area. So that's progressing. They've are also working on light pole foundations and soil cells. Again, those will continue. And they just started on the retaining wall on the east side of Union Street. Once they get, the soil cells are kind of moving ahead of the retaining wall, so those are progressing up towards Cabarrus. And that focus is on the east side first, and then they'll move to the west side. They do anticipate the sidewalk pour they'll do the retaining wall formwork as well as the sidewalk pour together, and that's looking at another 2 weeks from today to get that done. Next up, the wood fence that's at the empty lot on Union at 4 Union Street, we're looking at early August. And there's a kiosk that's going in at the Courthouse Plaza. It's actually the photos you're seeing on the right. It is packaged and ready to be shipped to us, and that will be installed at the end of July. Working on seat walls near the old Belk building, that'll kind of continue with the retaining wall work, and then they'll work on the grading for the road. All of that is to also mention, this is weather dependent with these dates, giving you guys some more timeline on everything. So some more kind of finished areas with the sidewalk looking north toward Barbrick. It's hard to see from this angle, but you may be able to see it in front of your screens a little bit better, that 8 foot is all the way clear up sidewalk up to Cabarrus Avenue on that first photo. The second photo is the courthouse connection area that they just did the brick pavers this week. And then the right photo is that 8 feet that they made the priority we mentioned last month, and we're in front of the Novi Lofts project with that one. So one thing was kind of brought to our attention to really look at how much has been done in the past month, and you see this photo is one I showed you last month, and then the next one really focusing on that first 8 feet on both sides of the road and how that sidewalk has continued and been poured. That formwork and sidewalk work really only took a couple weeks on both sides, and the actual pours were in a matter of days to get that kind of complete up to Cabarrus. Where they've stopped is because there are brick pavers in the intersection at those crosswalks. So they stopped a little bit before that. We have the granite edge restraints that we've talked about before, that sort of historic curbing that we're reusing, so they have to put those in place before they can continue the concrete pours. And this helps the pedestrians moving down the street, then they'll work kind of interior on the rest of the sidewalks. So I have a few more drone images to go through. This is very similar to the previous photo, but just starting up at the Cabarrus Avenue intersection. Great shot here of the Novi project with the rooftop bar restaurant. There's a few things to point out here. It's in shadow a bit from here, but I know when you see it closer, you can see where they're working on soil cells. They're working on that retaining wall I mentioned. The mid-block crosswalk you can kind of see in the center of the photo where they're putting in the granite edge restraints. Again, those concrete pours for that section will be on Monday, followed by brick pavers. This is a good shot showing the courthouse connection in that area where the brick pavers were installed on the left side. You can see how the courthouse is progressing. They recently put in the sod work in the site. And then just kind of a shot looking down the other direction, really seeing how the sidewalk's taken shape on the left side of your screen. Coming back up the road, and then I used to show this shot every month, but it's a nice progress shot showing all the Novi projects that are really becoming fully built out. Downtown website continues to be updated weekly. And then our parking map, no change since last month. We will update it as needed, and just an update with the 60%, which we tell you every month, the recent counts were 62.32. So we're really still seeing that average between the two parking decks as far as usage goes. So going through the sequence, we are, as you can see from all the photos and everything I've discussed, they're really working throughout this whole work zone. The fencing is moves around a little bit more than it used to. So they've got the intersection really protected with the big fencing for where the big equipment is, and then we've got more of the orange fencing and cones throughout the other areas. Targeting a late July, early August for opening Cabarrus Avenue to traffic. Moving up, once they get through that stormwater that I mentioned is about 2 weeks of work, they will start working north of Cabarrus Avenue. This diagram is showing that whole section. It's more likely that we will see the fencing go up to the library so that they can leave access to the library open as long as possible while they work in that section before they continue with the water line. And we're looking at really getting the sidewalks all in place and up to Cabarrus Avenue toward the end of August is what we were told today. Coming back through with those roadway improvements, based on the presentation Tuesday, looking at that summer, early fall for the roadway improvements and streetscape improvements in this area. And then, of course, landscaping coming kind of at end of October, whenever the planting season falls in line. This is a new slide, and I recognize it's a little hard to see at this scale, but wanted to highlight how much of the infrastructure has been put in. So all of your solid lines you're seeing in front of you are the water, stormwater, and sewer, that have been put in place. The dashed lines are what needs to still be done. That's north of Cabarrus. So the bulk of the work that's remaining is really in this section, kind of in the middle of the library toward Cabarrus Avenue. That's where all of our sewer connections, water connections, and where the stormwater actually stops completely. North of this area, or Plan West, is just water line work. With very little connections. There's one connection to the bank, there's one fire hydrant, and there is one water fountain. So we really see where that infrastructure lessens and also becomes shallower, which makes it easier to move more quickly through that. And with that, I will open up for questions from me before I pass it on to Jackie, if you have any.
I have one question dealing with the county and their previous courthouse. When do they turn that over to us, and are all the utilities done up there?
I think they're targeting early August for their work to be complete. They have already done what you're seeing actually here. You can kind of see where the stormwater has already been put in place. And Jackie might be able to speak better to that, but I know the stormwater is already in place in front of the courthouse.
Yep, the remainder of the work at the courthouse is mostly flat work. There is stuff in the roadway that will need to be complete, but the utilities are in. There is some electrical conduit as well.
Question from council? Nothing? Thank you.
Thank you. This slide you saw Tuesday. I'm just following up on some questions and some additions. So the request number 7 is shown on here, the bottom of the page. 3 additional days have been approved for the utility conflict at the intersection. Some more information, as you recall, November 13th, 2023 was the initial start date. The notice to proceed was May of 23rd of 2022. The closure of Union Street, this is recapping what happened and was not included in my Tuesday presentation. February 22nd of 2023, that was when Union Street closed. So prior to that, it was sort of business as usual. So the current contract duration with the approved extensions is now 86 days, and this is after that initial larger extension was issued. So the final contract duration will be impacted with the number of weather delays and possibly additional extension days for the courthouse project area, so that's still being negotiated. So if the contract is extended, we're going to request that courthouse work be completed after the current scope is substantially complete. I wanted to clarify some things on rain delays. So currently, as a reminder, we're at 35 days. These days are calculated as beyond abnormal weather conditions, so we take the average based on NOAA. If it's over a 1/10 of an inch, that is considered abnormal. So that's how those 35 days are calculated. Project progress, we have a percentage, and that's based on billing. It does not include contingency. This is a commonly reported number. It's based on engineering and contractor estimate based on payments. So this may be slightly different than the work completed on site, and this is updated monthly based on pay applications. So our contractor meetings, we have lots of meetings. We meet weekly to just discuss projects, schedule, challenges, conflicts. Then monthly we meet at Sealand's office to review the actual conditions and prepare for the next month. And we have 2 inspectors who are on site daily. So Ricky and Sean do a great job. They're out there every day to inspect activities and make sure that issues are discussed and a resolution can be quickly established. So I'll pass it over to Paige if there's no questions.
Just a question, similar to last week. When will Union Street be open for traffic from one end to the other?
That's a good question.
Your at best estimate.
Good question.
Fall.
Okay, first of all, 24?
Yes.
Now, let's be a little bit more refined.
Maybe we can discuss the opening. So we need to be through the intersection. NCDOT, we have a certain closure date for that. If we go beyond that, we have to ask for their permission. With the courthouse work, there will be some, hopefully just lane closures. We're trying to work through that. There's some one-way street challenges that we can need to look at, so I can get more information. But the next goal is to get through the intersection and get that open.
Questions? Okay. Thank you.
In exciting news, other exciting news, we had a ribbon cutting yesterday to celebrate the opening of Novi Rise. So as you can see here, several of our council members, the mayor, and several staff members not pictured were in attendance at this ribbon cutting. This was just a great milestone in all of the construction because there's so much, not just with the streetscape like we've been talking about, but also the private investment that we're seeing from projects like the 3 Novi buildings. So this is the second Novi project that has come online and is officially open. This is 167 more units of housing in downtown. So we're really excited. Peter, the CEO and founder of Lansing Melbourne Group, who's pictured here holding the scissors next to the mayor, he just really shined a light on the partnership that they've built with the city, was really proud of that partnership, and said that he walked Union Street prior to the ribbon cutting and was really excited about the progress being made and what they're seeing. So really excited that these things are coming together kind of all, along the same sequence. Here's some more pictures of those Novi projects. As you can see, looks really great not having porta potties in front of the Novi Rise building there on the top left. You've really got a nice open walkway. In that first floor of the Novi Rise building, that is going to be salon lofts. So they have their construction plans approved for that, and they will start the upfit for that space here shortly. In the Novi Flats building, of course, we have High Grounds Coffee House that's been open since January. And then we will start seeing construction on another commercial space in the first floor of that particular building for a dentist office. So if you need a closer option for your dental needs, you can just walk right down the street when that gets opened up. And of course, progress moving on lofts. So I'm excited to see that coming together like we saw in some of Kaylee's photos from the drone images. Right now, we have 317 residential units in downtown. So that includes a couple of townhomes, and that's in the MSD. So continuing to see that traffic build and more people establishing their home right in the center of downtown. The lofts on Union at the PM Morris building with the 14 residences, they are at 100% occupancy. Flats is ticking along. They're at 50%, and we foresee that to continue to increase once those private and public construction projects kind of move out of the way. And finally, Peter shared with us yesterday that LMG has just continued to tick on up with their investment numbers. So they're at a total of $90 million of private investment in downtown. So continuing to see new businesses come to the area. Join us on Saturday when you're here for Christmas in July. The grand opening at Market Street Barbers at 15 Market Street will be opening this Saturday. So come check out, meet some of the faces over there at the barber shop. We're really excited to welcome them to downtown. And I mentioned Christmas in July. The text is a little bit small, but you can find this information on our website and on Facebook. A lot of activities planned for Saturday. They are indoors, so as long as you can make it from one spot to the other, get back in the air conditioning. There's a lot of activities during the day for kids, story time. The fire truck will be over at Mac Tabby. The Christmas tree is up, as you can see. So really just making it festive and just adding a little bit of extra encouragement for people to come downtown, support local, dine local. Lots of promotions going on at the different shops for people to take advantage of. And there'll be a little farmer's market inside the Lens studio in the morning as well. Santa will be around, so say hello to Santa in his summer vacation attire. Get a picture taken, and then if you're around in the evening, you can take part in Christmas karaoke at the local bottle shop or the Grinch Stole Christmas Party at Little Roberts. And just a reminder, we'll also be reminding the folks who are coming to shop in downtown over the weekend that they enter to win this really cool Yeti cooler from Explore Cabarrus. All they have to do is take their receipt that they spent money at a shop or restaurant in downtown, take it to the CVB, turn it in, and they will be entered to win that cool cooler. And of course, we're excited for this project to continue. So as I mentioned, the apartments up top are 100% occupied, and we are just excited for the movement to continue with Charo's Mexican Restaurant and Sawmill Tavern. These are looking at the fall as far as opening. So really looking to see fall being a very vibrant and lively time in downtown. We're really excited to see all these projects coming together in sync. Any questions?
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to Parks and Recreation Bond update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sheila will provide the monthly update to council this evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, Ms. Deason. Tonight I'll provide the July bond update. We have no update at this time for the financial information. First up will be Dorton Park. If you can go ahead and play. We had 2 of the prefab bridges installed on June 27th. You will see one of those bridges being moved into place at Dorton Park. And then you can see the pictures on the right. That is the work being done on the parking lot extension and the new restroom building. And just so you know that that bridge was placed with an inch on each side.
Wow.
And we'll have 2 identical bridges at the park. Next will be the additional information for Dorton Park. The stream bank that's eroding on the Caudle Creek side of the park. We are nearing completion on design for that portion. Next phase, once that's completed, would be permitting to get us ready to bid that project. Next, in the top right, you will see the temporary construction access off of York. The construction for the park now moves to the west side of the park. The information about the access point off of York for temporary construction was communicated to the HOA. Next is,
About how many feet of Caudle Creek stream bank will you be?
if I had to guess, probably around 60 well, yards, I would say yards, 50 to 60 yards. It's a small area. They're going to need to remove 2 trees that are in the bank that's causing the whirlpool to compromise the bank, and they'll need to arbor it with stone. Next is Caldwell Park. Good news, we continue with bid documents. We will be bidding this project end of July, first 2 weeks in August is our plan to post the bid. Next is information. Originally, we were planning to move the existing playground because it still has life left to the southeast side of the park down near the tennis courts, but that spacing and the climbers with that unit, there are some constraints. So what we're going to do for Caldwell Park with the swings, we will need to add a smaller unit down to that spacing for Caldwell, and we will take the existing unit that's at Caldwell and move it to Gibson Mill, the Gibson Park, where it does call for a playground, where we have a larger area. Next is Jim Ramsor. We continue to wait on NCDOT's driveway permit. We are also kind of running concurrently with the Excella review. Final review from Excella can't happen until after we get the driveway permit, and we will move to preparing bid documents. On July 17th, we will have the public update meeting for this park. It's at 6 p.m. and be located at the Cox Mill Athletic Fields. Hartselle Park, we continue design for this park. We're planning a public update meeting in the fall. And this park is around 50% complete on design. Next is the McGinnis Aquatic Center, and if you notice up there, it says bid reopening. Our first bid opening was on June 27th. We received no bidders. It was rebid on the 28th, and today was the second bid opening. Today we received 4 bids. 3 of the 4 were under budget. Also, and we are moving forward and plan to begin construction, work on the contract for construction to begin after the pool closes. We're also, as a part of the Gibson Village neighborhood, their meeting for their neighborhood is on July 23rd. And at that meeting, we will provide update on all the Academy Gibson projects. Next is the skate park pump track. The design for this continues. We are at 60% completed on this project. The sculpture garden is being designed with the pump track skate park, the same consultant. It is also at 60% design complete. Next is the Academy Athletic Fields, and as mentioned earlier, this project calls for a playground at Gibson Field. We will reuse the existing playground at Caldwell for this playground. This project is at 50% completed on design. Next is Dave Phillips Park. This project is currently at 70% complete on design. Poplar Tent Trailhead Park, we continue with internal design for this in coordination with NCDOT and Duke Power. And these additional projects, we have not started the design process for this. But I just wanted to make sure council and remind of the process that council set in place for me to follow. If you noticed, we have quite a few projects that are over 50% design. So when those projects meet and get to the 100% design, that's when I will come back to council, present the design to council, provide you information on the master plan, the design, communicate to you the estimated cost for that, and you will have a chance to approve it before we move forward. And I will be glad to answer any questions.
Any question from council? Okay, thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
All right. I haven't asked yet, but are any youth council members here tonight? And are there any Boy Scouts here? All right. Typically we do, but I guess it's being summer vacation, we're missing. Yeah, at the beach or in Florida. Yeah. So we're going to move on to recognition of persons requesting to be heard. Let me read this. This portion of the meeting is our time to recognize persons requesting to be heard and provide an opportunity for anyone wishing to address City Council to do so. Each person will receive 3 minutes to address the council. This is a time of listening for the council. The subject will be noted, and if any required action or request, the city manager will note such and provide steps to any required response or after action. And please leave your contact information with the city clerk to facilitate communication. Well, I have the sign up. I have 6 people signed up to speak that'll be able to speak for 3 minutes apiece. We're going to start with Zach Almond, dealing with Boyscroft. Welcome.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and Council. I promise I won't be 3 minutes. Thank y'all so much for giving me a second. My name is Zach Holman. My colleague Larry Shaheen spoke at last month's meeting, and I would be absolutely remiss to say it's amazing what all is going on in Concord and what all you guys are juggling. There's just so much going on. I've been at the last 3 meetings, and it's a real eye-opener how much is going on with Parks and Rec and everything. It's just really impressive. Last meeting you guys had, there was a gentleman here who gave a fantastic presentation on the housing needs in Concord. Again, we're with Stanley Martin with the proposed Roycroft community, and I think that our product is exactly what fits the mold of what the gentleman said that Concord really needed. We're not necessarily a starter home, but it's not $1 million home either. We have a Homes for Heroes project where there's $10,000 knocked off the cost of the home for a veteran or a police officer, firefighter, and a teacher. You know, we're just asking for sewer allocation along with everyone else, but we appreciate y'all's consideration. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Zach. Summer Selmer, please come forward. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight again regarding chickens. In May, the ordinance was amended in order for the citizens of Concord to have chickens, and we appreciate the unanimous decision on that. After the meeting, I asked what my next steps were because I knew I had more than the allotted amount of chickens and was told, as well as my children, by members on the platform to do nothing. That's exactly what we did, nothing. We kept quiet about the number we had and did things around our coop to make it even less visible. Things were fine until about a week and a half ago when the code enforcement officer came to our house and told me I had 24 hours to get a permit. A permit I had no idea we needed. I got the permit. 24 hours later, he was back at my house to count my chickens, and I told him I had more than the allotted amount. He was back the next day with a violation notice. I was also told that I'm the only one to apply for a permit since May. Kind of puzzling considering the amount of chickens in the city. There's been a lot of confusion, and I know this is a new ordinance, but I hope that everyone can get on the same page. It's very disheartening again for my children being told we didn't need to do anything to now being told you have 1 week to get rid of half your flock. As of Tuesday, we were able to get a 30-day extension, but still it's heartbreaking. I don't make it a practice to let my kids down, and that's why we're here tonight. I'm asking for council to again look at the numbers to see if they can be expanded, as it seems no citizens are applying for permits and no chicken issues have arrived. We are not in a neighborhood. We have 3 cow farms surrounding us. We have over 2 acres, which is roughly 94,000 square feet. My coop is approximately 480 square feet, taking up less than 1% of my property that I pay for. In the ordinance, it states that all of the chickens have to be penned up at all times. If the chickens need to be penned up, then why is there such a low restricted number? Other towns around us have much broader numbers as far as chickens go per acre. We are also currently at the height of bird flu, which isn't going to come down until about October. I help with the Cabarrus County Fair, and at this point, there may not be chickens in the fair due to causing a potential outbreak. And this is when you want me to rehome my chickens after being told in May that we were fine and we did not need to do anything, that we were leading the way. I honestly did not want to come tonight, but as someone told me that I am the leader in this chicken revolution and that if I had an opportunity to speak, I need to take it. I had to take some time to get my heart right to be able to do this in a kindest tone as possible. Moving forward, maybe we can all sit down and have a discussion on this issue. I know change takes time, but when you're talking about children, especially one with special needs and one who struggles with mental health and their pets who they've had for 3 years, time is of the essence. Right now, we have until August 10th. And I'll just show you a couple of pictures. If this is working, is this working tonight?
It should be, yes.
And I know it might be a little hard. This is my oldest son. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it Mariah Selmer? Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all today. I'm here today as some of my family's questions have been ignored or not been answered. Back in May, the council amended the ordinance to allow chickens in the county, and for that I am thankful. Our issue comes when an officer came onto our property last week or a week and a half ago and told us we needed a permit to keep our chickens. We were not told about this previously, and we were even informed to do nothing and just continue to own our chickens as they were. I'm wondering why we were told one thing, but then were asked to do something completely different a month later. I'm requesting clarity and communication on this for the sake of my family and neighbors who also own chickens. I'm requesting the council to reconsider the numbers of chickens per acreage. I don't think it is fair to my chickens that I can live on a property of over 2 acres and yet have to be locked up, and they have a limit on how many we can have. This whole affair has made me realize that the report back in February was most likely not even over a chicken. Many people do not know the difference between a chicken and a turkey. We have turkeys and deer that live in the woods behind our house and have caused more damage to our property and surrounding properties than our chickens ever have. These turkeys will eat our garden, especially my beloved peach trees, grapevines, and apple trees. They ruin our grass, and they have even caused damage to my truck. Our neighbors have even told us how much they love seeing our chickens around during the time they would free range. But they have also mentioned how the deer and turkeys, while entertaining to watch, have also bothered their gardens and grass. Don't get me wrong, I love the wildlife and I enjoy watching the deer and turkeys walk through the yard in the early mornings. I believe they are all God's creatures and have a right to live there as it is their home. But they have a right to be there just as my chickens have a right to be at their home as well, at my home. Taking away half our flock of chickens is the same to us as if I were to take away your beloved dog or cat because someone may have reported a squirrel. They're family and don't deserve to be stripped away from their home. I'm going back to college this August, and I cannot go back knowing my family is dealing with this. Last Friday evening, after receiving the notice for the permit, my family was in turmoil. My sister was crying at the kitchen table. My special needs younger brother was sobbing in his room, knowing his beloved chickens, and dare I say his friends, were being threatened to be taken away from him. And my mom and my brother and my dad were in the living room trying to figure out what to do next. For these reasons, I am requesting you to consider the number of chickens for my family's sake. I also have videos of the turkeys damaging my truck. If you can see it. But they're pecking my truck. They're ruining my paint job. They were fighting in the front yard right by the road. I have to go out and ward off the chickens when I leave for work in the morning, or turkeys. And they're not quiet either. I have the sound off right now, but they were not quiet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Brian Pace? Sorry, Brian Pace, yes. Your handwriting and mine are very similar.
It's definitely my handwriting. When I did it, I knew it was pretty hard to read. I can't say I've ever followed a chicken advocacy speech before, so hopefully y'all can, that was pretty powerful. Good evening, Mayor and the esteemed council members. My name is Brian Pace, and I stand before you today as one of the local owners and development partners of the Skybrook neighborhood located within the city of Concord. I'm also here as a local business owner and operator of land and construction business. Our ownership group of Skybrook represents a 25-year history of building and providing homes for families just like ours and yours in Concord, and because of this, I also represent the community of Concord residents living in Skybrook.
Tonight, I want to address a small remaining piece of our planned development, which is located on the corner of Poplar Tent and Huntersville Concord Road called Skybrook Corners. As of today, we put in our 7th application for sewer allocation and will be seeking your support to provide this last needed sewer capacity for our final 19 home sites in our community. Unfortunately, without this sewer commitment, these remaining home sites have created a small portion of undeveloped land in the middle of our fully constructed neighborhood. These last few units were previously approved, fully approved by this council and annexed in this chamber less than 4 years ago. Our Skybrook development has been a proud partner with the City of Concord and Cabarrus County for the past 25 years. Unlike many of the other applicants, our ownership has a lengthy history of contributing to the development and betterment of Concord in this region of the county. Most importantly, we have provided countless homes for families and the workforce that supports Concord and the region around us. Unlike other applicants you have before you, our request is not speculative, as we already own our land and have already made significant investment in their infrastructure to provide sewer to these lots. This investment includes much-needed area water and sewer main extensions down Harris Road, Poplar Tent Road, and other area DOT transportation improvements, pedestrian crossings, and of course, acres and acres of green space and parkland for our Concord residents to enjoy with their families. Our commitment to the growth and prosperity of Concord is unwavering, and the completion of these final home sites will allow us to complete our community to the vision that was approved and annexed by this council years ago. We sincerely appreciate your consideration in the upcoming September sewer allocation meeting or earlier if offered. Thank you for your time and dedication to our city. And thank you on behalf of the landowners of the Skybrook neighborhood.
Thank you. Margaret Hall? Welcome.
Hi.
Wait a minute, you're going to get some help here.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you. I'm getting over a cold, so I really need this. Hello, Mayor and Concord City Council. Thank you for allowing me to talk tonight. My name is Margaret Hall. I live at 520 Crestmont Drive with my husband, Jordan Hall, and our 3 children. We moved here in 2013 and have loved living in Concord. Thank you for all that you all do to help make this town great. We are requesting to be able to connect to the Concord City Sewer, and we'll be very thankful if that request is granted. We are also requesting that you do not annex our property into the City of Concord. I understand that in the past that has been customary in situations like ours, but there are a couple factors I would like you to consider in our case. First, we do not need to connect to city water. Our home and farm is well served by a community well, of which we're the last remaining users of that well. And in addition, I operate Curiosity Farm, a cut flower farm that I've began in 2017. My farm is qualifies for the horticultural land use tax deferment program in every way except for the amount of acreage that we are using to grow on. Our property is almost exactly 5 acres, and in order to qualify for the horticultural use exemption, you need to farm 5 acres, not including the space that your home uses. And so for that case, I cannot, or for that reason, I do not qualify for horticultural use exemption, and I do not require for that, I don't qualify for that tax relief despite operating a legitimate farm. I'm concerned about the increased tax burden from being annexed into the City of Concord, as well as other ramifications to the operation of my farm if it were annexed into the city. We serve Concord by offering pick your own flowers, and you pick flowers to the public on a regular schedule throughout the year. And we also serve Concord through supplying cut flowers to florists and other fresh flower enthusiasts. I respectfully request that you will allow us to tap into Concord Sewer without annexing our property into the City of Concord. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rick Meeks?
Mayor, I apologize. I may have signed the wrong form. I'm actually here as presented by planning, and I may have signed the incorrect form.
So, Lloyd, what do we have here? Just 1 second, please.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the rezoning, and it's a public hearing, so it'll be open to speak
On
to.
number
So
two,
I'll-
okay.
I'll move you over to the public hearing,
Okay, sounds good.
number 2. All right. Anyone else like to speak tonight? All right, thank you very much. Let me write this down for me. Oh, yes, please. Come forward, state your name and your address.
Yeah, I'm Bimala I'm a Concord city resident. And good evening, Mayor and council members, for allowing me without even sign up. So I'm here to talk about a project that we are approaching city for a permit. So the project that we are considering is like on the Harris Road, so next to Winding Walk Community, opposite to Skybrook. So we own about 10 plus acres lot, and where we are trying to do some indoor sports facility and daycare facility. So we are proposing this to City of Concord because we understand that there are a huge gap for all this indoor sports facility needs for the residents. And also there are a lot of daycares available nearby, but still the capacity is already maximized. Even I have 4-year-old daughter, but I'm still waiting for 6 months to get a space in the daycare. So I strongly believe that with the growing housing in the city of Concord, we believe that there are still more need for the daycare facilities. So we request you to allow us to build one. And for that, we already submitted a preliminary site plan. But the only thing that we are restricted because of the sewer allocation. So right now we have a lot of challenges in getting the sewer, but we need some solution to accommodate this. So we really need to know who do we contact and how do we navigate about making progress with this project. Thank you so much.
If you could, because you haven't, can you put your address and your phone number here, please? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else here like to speak? All right, thank you very much. We're going to move to public hearings. First is conduct a public hearing, consider adopting an ordinance annexing 3.383 acres. Is there a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Somebody moved it down there.
Yeah, second, okay.
Second.
Motion second, all right, all in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. All right. I have no one signed up for this item. Is there anyone who'd like to speak about this item? If you could, state your name and your address.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Carmen Hartzell, and I'm here to represent the company that that has a proposal for a new commercial project in Concord, and it is a mixed-use development. The proposed project will feature retail spaces, offices, community services, restaurants, small apartments, units. Our vision is something similar to Birkdale Village in a smaller scale, and we want intention is to create a place that the community will love and enjoy and will benefit the city and the economic growth of it. And we're requesting to annex the property and located at 17635 Huntersville Concord Road into the city of Concord.
All right. Can you state your address?
Sure. I'll give you my name. I here.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'll use that. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I think that's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else speak in regards to this item? There being no one else to speak, it's a motion to close public hearing. Yep, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Back to council for, we'll see with this one, we're considering a motion of adopting an annexation ordinance, effective date of July 11th. Is there a motion?
Before a motion, and I think I heard most of what the young lady was communicating. My opinion with the position we're in with sewer and also where this is located on Poplar Tent and some of the issues we have out there, I think we need much more information on exactly what's going to go on the property. I would not want to annex your property and then your project have no chance, and then you're just paying a lot of city taxes. So I think maybe we're just going a little bit too quick. Not that I'm against any project, I just don't know what it is. So my motion would be to deny the annexation.
We have a motion and a second to deny. Is there are you ready to vote? All in favor? Or any discussion? No further discussion? Okay, ready to vote? All in favor of denial, raise your hand. All in favor? Of denial. Yeah, all right. Thank you very, very much. So this just needs more. Yeah, more
Absolutely,
fleshing out.
and this may be a little bit out of whatever, but if the applicant would like to contact anyone, I'm sure we could do a little guidance on the steps to take to get a little more information between us and planning.
All right. Moving on, item number 2, conduct a public hearing in case ZCD 23-23. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? Motion is second. All in favor, raise your hand. All right. I do have one person signed up to speak, and that is Rick Meeks. You got in the right spot now.
I'm in the right spot. Okay. Just real quickly, I'll briefly give you a background on this project and the history of the property and why we're wanting to go with, move forward with this particular project. So this property has been for sale for 25 to 30 years, if you can imagine trying to sell a property for that long. There have been numerous developers look at this property for anything from retail to residential, apartments, you name it, even self-storage like we're wanting to do. This property faces a lot of issues, one of which is it sits in 2 jurisdictions. About a third of it is in Concord and 2/3 in Kannapolis. Fortunately, we've got very good planning departments in both cities. They're great to work with. They've made this as easy and as painless as possible, but it's still, you're jumping through a lot of hoops dealing with 2 different planning departments, 2 different jurisdictions. There is a very large Duke Energy easement that runs through the property. It's an 8.5 acre parcel technically, but Main Street runs through part of it, so there's a little sliver over at the railroad tracks that's not usable. There's the about 2.5 acres of Duke Energy easement that's essentially not usable. And then on top of all of that, there is a Duke Energy substation right adjacent to the property. And that in itself just brings all kinds of issues because people, whether this is correct or not, the perception is that people don't want to live around or work around substations, and power lines, you know. I don't know if they cause cancer or not, but many people believe that. And so those are issues that this property faces. Now, we believe that self-storage is a great use for this property because on the property adjacent to it, to the west, there's already a self-storage facility. The property right across Winecoff School Road to the south is an industrial facility. It's Ketchy Houston building. Across the railroad tracks to the east, slightly southeast, there's another self-storage facility over there on Ridge Avenue. And then, like I said, in behind it, you got a substation, and that's in the Kannapolis side of it. And also the property adjacent just to the north is it's a transmission repair shop. So this is, oh, is that my time?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you.
I think we got the point, though.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in regards to this? All right, there's no one else to speak. Motion, council, to close the public hearing. Motion second, all in favor, raise their hand. Back to council for the recommendation, and if we could pull, we have it pulled up. That's excellent.
Right, so the very first step is to consider a statement of consistency. The statement of consistency on your left, took me a second there, didn't it? The statement of consistency on your left with the green statement at the top saying supporting approval was adopted by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their meeting and recommended to City Council. That would be the statement that you adopt if you are leaning towards approving the rezoning. The statement on the right is the statement that would be supporting if you were leaning towards denial of the rezoning.
Okay, back to council for,
I would make a motion to support approval of the statement of consistency.
I second.
okay, we got a motion second, any discussion? All right, ready to vote? All in favor of supporting, raise your hand. Okay, thank you
All right,
very much.
The second step in this process is going to be to approve or deny the rezoning. If you are approving the rezoning, you will want that motion to be approval with the 6 conditions.
All right, council, is there a motion?
Motion to approve with the suggested conditions.
Okay,
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? No further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. So
And
it's-
we have one more piece.
Do we?
Sorry, one more piece, because this one involves a land use plan amendment, so we need a motion to approve or deny the land use plan amendment.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, thank you.
And that's all.
Nothing else?
Nothing else on that one.
So it's done. All right. Thank you, Andy. Moving on, conduct a public hearing, consider adopting an ordinance amending Article 4, environmental land disturbing activities. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? Motion second, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, I have no one here signed for or against this. Is there anyone like to speak in regards to this item? There is no one here to speak in regards to this item, so there's a motion from council to close the public hearing. We got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. All right, back to council. Here we are.
So this one will have 2 steps. The first step is to adopt a statement of consistency. So the way this one is presented is a little bit different. The first 2 bullet points are the bullet points that are in favor of adopting the change. If you are in favor, if you're not in favor of adopting the change, then you would want the first and third bullet point.
But if we're in favor, we do the first 2.
First 2, that's correct.
Council, what's your recommendation?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No discussion. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much.
And then we just need one motion to adopt or not adopt the proposed ordinance amendment.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt proposed amendment. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being no discussion, are you ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.
Sounds good.
It varies from month to month. Okay. All right, this gets us through our public hearings, moves us to presentations, petitions, and requests. Number one, consider adopting a resolution of intent to schedule a public hearing on the matter of closing a portion of Evans Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fred discussed this item with council on Tuesday at the work session, and this would, or is asking council tonight to consider the resolution of intent, and if passed or adopted by council, this would set a public hearing for August the 8th to close the 62.3 square feet portion of Evans Street.
All right, council, is there a motion?
So
And a second. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item number two, consider adopting a resolution authorizing the sale of .03 acres.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Steve presented this item to council on Tuesday at the work session as well. This is an offer from Morris Building LLC in the amount of $7,500 for the parcel number listed in your agenda packet. If council approves this, the city clerk would advertise it through the upset bid process, and we would respond to any bids or upset bids that come in accordingly.
All right, is there a motion from council?
can we have some discussion?
Yes.
Okay, you want to go on?
I'm the one who started it, so yes.
Wait, we have okay,
you got a motion on the table.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We've got a motion on the table.
I'll second the motion.
We got a second motion, now discussion.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I still need to practice all these.
Yep.
Okay. My thought about this is I think that until downtown is more fully developed, this piece of property may prove to be important to the city for parking, handicap parking potentially, bicycle parking, spillover parking. I think it would offer an opportunity for quick parking access, not having to park in the parking decks. So at this time, I would vote to not sell this piece of property. I would not say that I would never be convinced. I'm just not convinced right now that this is in the best interest of the city.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion?
Yes, I agree as well. You know, the parking could be potentially used for public use. And I would like to also hold off until downtown is complete and then assess the situation and see what it could possibly be used for public use. And if nothing, then we can come back and discuss the sale of it.
Yes.
Just-
And then John.
Just a counterpoint, maybe. We just heard that the Morris Building is fully leased, so that's 14 users. So that's 28 carts a week that are rolled out. The dumpster that we had across the street at Sessi for all these years was heavily used. So I worry about that impact, that it's just going to have a detrimental impact. I do see the concerns, though, but Mr. Mueller is offering in exchange for selling the property for him to use for parking, that he'll provide the space, covered space for a dumpster. I don't know if there might be a compromise here. Maybe we could send staff back to see if he would be willing to lease it from us for a period of years, if that would work, till we could see, to at least get the dumpster and the parking there. I don't know if Mr. Mueller would go for that, but he might. But something, I'm just not sure not doing anything right now is correct either, but I'll follow the majority of the board.
I want to, after further reading my notes, and shame on me, is there a procedure to retract my approval of this? Retract my motion.
Certainly.
Okay, I'll retract my motion to approve that.
Yeah, let us
Yeah,
finish our
no worries.
discussion. But your question was, how do I do it? Well, let's finish our discussion.
So, Steve, can you remind me, this has been a really long time ago. I just remember the Bicentennial lot. We had a really long discussion on trash, and I agree with everything that's been said up here. And I agree with JC. Is there a middle ground? Because it was a long time ago. There was something with trash, and we got a dumpster. Can you kind of revisit that? Because my fear is that kind of came, I won't say out of nowhere, but that was kind of an unintended situation that we didn't, and I don't want that to happen again. So just getting that information to fill in the gap and then make the best decision.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's one advantage of being here a long time.
Thanks. Is that for you or for me? Because
No,
that's
for
both
me.
of us. Well, that's
Yeah,
both of
I've
us.
been here a long
Because I
time.
remember it too.
Yeah. So, yes, there was a lot of discussions and a lot of activity with dumpsters and trash in the Bicentennial lot. It was an Excedrin headache, number one, for the city. The city had the dumpster space that's there now. The city managed it and policed it. And council and the manager at that time wanted to get us out of it, and we did. We sold that property to Justin Mueller, who has 57 Union Street now and redeveloped it. So, a long story short, what happened whenever the city got out of it, you had an influx of roll-out containers in the Bicentennial lot, which are still present now. There are less roll-out containers there now in the Bicentennial lot because of Justin Mueller, because he opened up that dumpster space to all the businesses and said, if you're willing to participate, to cost share, then you can eliminate your rollout, help clean up the Bicentennial lot, and help cost share with a dumpster. So several of them are doing that in the Bicentennial lot, and that's his idea on this one for Market Street. In doing so, it can clean up the trash, the rollouts, and existing dumpsters and future dumpsters on Market Street and consolidate in one location and keep the city out of it. So, yeah, it's a long story, but what has occurred in the Bicentennial lot, he's trying to address, and staff understands and supports it. Trash in downtown there's no good solution, and there's no cheap solution.
I have a question, if I may ask, just so I understand. We're getting quite a few new apartments in downtown. Is every apartment downtown going to have a rollout?
No.
I mean, what are like Novi Rise and those folks doing?
Right.
I would kind of think that Justin's units would do the same.
They will, and that's a good question. So Novi Rise, Flats, and Lofts, they account for their own trash, their own dumpster, and it's actually hidden within the building. Justin will have a dumpster in the back of his also, because he has to account for his trash. But what he's proposing is to build a larger enclosure and have a larger dumpster so he can help with trash along the entire street. So he's saying, I'll take care of mine, but I'll open it so everybody else can cost share with me to clean it up. Yes, sir.
So would that include like the businesses that are along their back or on Market Street?
Everyone, the whole street.
If they want, if they're willing to agree to participate, and they wouldn't have to do anything except use it.
That's right.
If they came into agreement with them.
Correct.
But they might have to pay.
They would have to pay their fair share. And say if there's a restaurant, I'll give an example in the form of Gianni's. They didn't want a dumpster, then they would work with Justin, take their trash up there. Because they're a restaurant, they'll pay more because you have to dump more. But an office user that didn't want to mess with rollouts anymore, that's hardly anything. So that's a whole different cost share for an office user versus a restaurant. And Justin will base the fees based on what he's charged. So if I think that's Republic, if Republic charges a certain fee, certain number of dump times per week, then he figures accordingly.
Every business has to pay now, no matter how they do it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, there's no free, citizens in a residential area,
right,
they get a rollout free. A business does not.
Right.
There might not be 28 rollouts.
There will not be that many there will not be rollouts for Justin's, because he's gonna have to account for his own trash. Yeah.
Right,
for the
but there might
apartment.
not be rollouts for any of the businesses either.
But to be clear,
Okay.
Steve, I mean, we got two restaurants in that Morse building. They'll have rollouts.
No,
They'll use the dumpster.
they'll use the dumpster.
And then what about the Gianni's if it's backfilled with another restaurant?
They'll also have to have a dumpster.
So they'll all have to have dumpsters.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, and if you, yeah, I can give you an example of some that Robin emailed about, and we talk about it fairly regular. If you look at the vacant lot that Mr. Griffin owns on Trash Day, there's rollouts across that whole frontage, many of which don't get rolled back very frequently, and it's very unsightly. If any of those businesses want to participate, they participate with Justin, they no longer have rollouts.
I appreciate Justin's trying to help us with the trash problem, but we're also giving him three or four parking spaces right next to a walkway up to Union Street. And it's for $7,000, he gets 3 or 4 parking spaces in addition to helping us with the trash. I just wish there was some more conversation about this.
So just so I'm sure what council's asking, what exactly do you want staff to go back and have a conversation with Justin about? Is the amount that he's proposed too little? Is the timing not correct? Just so that we're clear, what exactly are we going back and asking Justin to consider?
I would say that the timing's not correct.
Okay.
I just think that we need to get downtown a little bit more developed, see what's coming our way, what kind of response we may get. We're going to get a hair salon right across the street from it in the Novi building, and all I can think about is how I wouldn't want to have to go all the way to the parking deck with my hair looking kind of a mess to get into that hair salon. I'd rather park across the street. So I'm just feeling like we just need to wait it out a little bit. I definitely am not saying no. I'm just saying not right now.
I think I'd like to have a conversation, not me, in the conversations with him, is there something that we can do in the meantime with helping him understand exactly that? Like, we don't know what we may need this for, and yet I do think he is solving a potential really big problem that we can have. I don't know that this is the trade-off for that, but like, so I guess I don't know what direction, in my opinion, I don't know what direction, and maybe, Justin's been downtown so long that maybe it's just a conversation that you guys could have with him, Steve. I don't know, but I'm really worried about the trash thing. I remember that was a nightmare on Bicentennial Park. Again, another advantage of being here for a really long time. We talked about that for a really long time on council. You remember that, John?
I do very well, yeah.
And I don't know what the compromise is, but I agree with everything that's been said tonight. So I'm sorry I can't give you more direction than that.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is that we should probably think about coming back from our original motion.
Just table this for a month.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that okay?
Time to open some conversations.
Yeah, John, you second. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to retract what my original was and make a move for us to table it. I respect what JC had brought up, his facts as well, Lori also, and Jennifer's history lesson, because I knew some of it, but I forgot until Steve said a few things that came back to light. It was quite a conversation.
So I think my first question would be, does staff feel like 1 month is going to be enough? Or do you feel like you need a little bit more time to flesh it out a little bit better?
Let me ask another way. I suppose I hear Councilmember Clay saying the timing's not right. Is 1 month going to be enough time for council to reconsider? If not, are there other things we need to go back to Justin and say, council's not, satisfied with the offer that was made? Does it need to be higher? They rejected it because it was too low. I don't know if we're just turning this down tonight because the timing's not right. I'm just wondering if 30 more days is going to be enough time to make that decision. I don't want to lead Justin on either, and we come back and we table it next month and we table it again. So I just want to know what the clear direction from council is on what you want us to have the conversation with Justin about.
So I agree with Laurie. And part of it's timing. Also, part of it for me is what he's offering to pay versus the tax value of the property.
And I would also like to hear what planning says we could, as a city, get for parking in this space. If we give these three or four spots to Justin, they then belong to him. Could these be used for public use?
Well, we're not giving them to him. He would be buying them.
Yeah, that's correct.
But-
But he would buy it, but then the public would not have access to those spots.
Well, theoretically correct. It depends on how he marks them and how he regulates the towing or booting of those private positions. If you've seen the property, for us, in my opinion, to use that as legitimate public parking moving forward, we're gonna have to tear that out what's there now and probably repave it. So there is a cost the city's gonna incur at
We can
some
see
point in the
that
future.
cost.
We're gonna see that cost. There again, without getting too far down a rabbit hole, we're also gonna have to be concerned with how we regulate that public parking. You know, if it's wide open, then the folks who live in that building can park there and there's nothing we can do to prevent that. So how we identify that public parking and how we regulate it will be important too moving forward, just like we used to do, you know, on Market Street with the 2-hour parking and so on and so forth. We've got to have that conversation at some point in time down the road as well.
Lloyd, one thing to remember, these 4 spots will be benefiting citizens of this city. So they're people that are living downtown. So it's not a public use, but these are people that have committed to our downtown and are living in that apartment that are gonna be kind of fighting for parking spots in the parking deck and things. So I just, Mr. Mueller has done a lot of good things for downtown and added a lot of tax base on his own, almost entirely. So I hate to say just a hard no to Mr. Mueller without kind of maybe chatting through this a little bit more. But again, I'll follow the majority of the board.
Well, I'll piggyback on what Lloyd said. So am I hearing you guys say the tax value of the property is $33,510? If the value was that, would your answer still be no? Because I think that needs to be clarified, right? Because if he comes back next month and says, okay, well, I'll give you $33,510, and we still say no, I don't think that's a fair conversation to have with Justin. So is that a fair question to ask council?
Yeah, I just want to know what the conversation needs to be with Justin. Council said no at the meeting. The conversation now needs to go to what? You need to wait
'Cause I
6
don't-
months and come back? You
I don't
need to
think
raise
that that's the
bid?
conversation is money, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying that the 75 is enough, but
Right.
I don't think that it's money. I think it's timing, and I think it's then also how it feeds into where the problem is that we have. That's my opinion. So,
And be willing to address the fact that we are going to have trash issues.
Yep.
That this would resolve. That we've all,
Potentially.
potentially solving, because I've sat through those same meetings over the years, just listening to it, and it was horrible.
So we're in
Trash.
July now. Would it be fair to say, hopefully by January, the end of the year, that we'll see more of a clearer picture of what downtown is going to look like? Hopefully be done by then. So give it 6 months or to the end of the year.
I would say that's reasonable.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too, and also to tap onto that, Lloyd, I'm looking at a map and I've seen the spots. How compatible, if staff could look at, are those 2 handicap spots as well? So
Well, certainly it's going to reduce the number of parking places you can have there. Now, like as Steve said on Tuesday, you can have 4, maybe 5, depending on how it's configured. If you have handicap parking spots, 2, I mean, a couple maybe, depending on, it just depends. And I mean, that's an awkward area to get out on because you're pulling in and backing out. And so there's some awkwardness as well there for parking in that area. So if council wants to table it for 6 months, certainly we can do that and come back and we can have that conversation with Justin quarterly.
I really like Betty's idea about that. I think that's wise. It would give us a chance to see, hopefully, how downtown has fleshed out. John, to your question, I think it could even be used for public bike racks. Again, spillover parking, maybe a couple handicap spots, or some type of quick access. I would be good with tabling it for 6 months.
Someone needs to make the motion.
I'll make that motion. that we table this conversation for 6 months, please.
Table to the regularly scheduled meeting in January.
Yes,
6
please.
months from now.
From today. Perfect.
I second.
Okay, we got a motion second. And further discussion? So just think about the trash, but, okay. Everybody ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. All right, thank you very much. Item number, let's see, item number 3, consider adopting an ordinance amending Concord City Code, Chapter 50.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kaylee presented this item to council on Tuesday as well, and as you can see, the proposed amendments include the ability to display retail merchandise on the sidewalks, as well as dining, and incorporating the various downtown sidewalk design guidelines as she showed on Tuesday evening to council.
All right. Is there a recommendation from council?
Motion to adopt.
Motion and second, any discussion?
No.
Okay, ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Item 4, consider adopting an ordinance amending City of Concord Code of Ordinance 58. That's the second part of that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Steve did present this on Tuesday evening. Good discussion with council and staff on some of the particulars here. And so what I would recommend to council tonight is to break up this item into 3 separate sections. The first motion, if council so desires, would be to approve the signage and the sticker designs. The second motion would be to approve the new map with revised signage locations. And if a third motion needs to be made, or if council desires to change the start date of the social district from August 1 to October 1, as discussed by staff, that would be a third and separate motion. But I do think the first 2 motions are probably, based on what council discussed, probably good to move forward. And then if there is no motion made to change the date, there is a standing date of August 1, and it would remain as August 1.
Okay. All right, first of all, is there a motion to have the signage and the new map?
Sticker designs.
So moved, Mayor.
Sticker design and new map.
So moved, Mayor.
Got a motion and second. Any further discussion? All right, ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Now, next, is there a motion dealing with the August 1st date versus the October 1st?
Right. The second one would be the revised map, or the revised parking locations on the map.
Oh, I'll put those together. I'll put them together because they're really,
Okay. All right.
I'll do whatever you want me to do, sir.
No, that's fine. I mean, that works, as long as that's
I
clear.
mean, everybody said yes.
Keep this thing going.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the third one, for sure, is the August 1st versus the October 1st.
Before, I just want to ask, 20 days to get these signs here installed. Is there time to actually do this if we leave it August 1? Don't want Jimmy writing us up for not having signage.
I was just looking back at Philip.
He said no. I don't know what he said.
The boundary signs, we've talked about the sign shop would produce, short turnaround, felt good about it. We were working with the private sector on the stickers for the businesses and the stickers that would, and the larger stickers that would go into windows. So we've already, Paige has already started getting quotes on that, so. And then garbage, we'll be working on that too. So yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, when we're going to scramble, we'll make it work.
Okay.
I make a motion, please, if I'm doing this properly, that we leave the August 1st start date of the social district intact.
And there's a second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand.
I
Get further discussion.
am going to disagree, but I'll tell you why. My concern is safety. Now, I walked downtown today, and yes, a lot of the sidewalk work on the west side has been done, but there's still spaces in between that are not, I guess, laid with the brick paver, so there's gravel, and the gravel moves. And also on the east side, I think where the Cabco Winery is, that sidewalk is all torn to pieces. So my concern is just safety, it's hard enough to navigate your way around a construction site during the daytime when you're sober. I imagine that it will be a little more difficult to do in day or especially at night or late evening when you've had a few drinks and you're moving around. And from information staff shared that a lot of the businesses have not received their furniture yet, so people won't have a place to stop and sit and rest and maybe sober up a little bit. Not saying everybody's gonna be drunk, but safety is my concern, so.
Get back on Betty. I don't disagree with Betty. I think my vote's gonna reflect more making some movement forward for downtown businesses. Which I'm not negating safety though, because it's a really valid point. I guess, I was, after we left on Tuesday night, I also thought about I want this to be a celebration, and this feels a little not the right time. And then I kind of thought about the enforcement piece of it and thought, does this give us time to kind of settle into that? I don't know. So I'm torn on this issue, but the reason that my vote is only going to reflect a yes is only because I feel like we need some sort of movement downtown, so.
And I would like to add, what was significant for me is that there are 11 businesses that would like to do this downtown. Pardon me?
They can participate.
They
Doesn't
can
mean that
participate,
yeah.
but it means that some are ready to go if they choose to do this.
And I know we've already voted, but I don't think we can put this back in the bottle once we.
We haven't voted yet.
We haven't, so,
we haven't.
once we do this, we can't come back next month and say, let's stop it, take all the signs down. I guess we could, but
No, you can't.
don't want to do that. We can do anything. So the points are valid. The other side is there aren't a lot of people downtown after about 8 o'clock, so you're kind of doing a soft rollout.
Right. It's a practice run.
So I don't know, we could beat this to death probably.
Yeah, there is no.
We have asked the question about safety, and we've been told by staff that the area is safe to open, so that eliminates my fears about that. I still contend we need to get some movement and some excitement and people back downtown, see things are happening.
My last pitch, we're talking 61 days. I said my last pitch is, we're talking 61 days between August 1st and October 1st, so.
So you have a motion.
I'm gonna leave it where it is.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second on the table. We have, unless somebody wants to withdraw their motion, we are,
Leaving it.
okay.
We're leaving it August 1.
That's motion is. Okay, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, raise your hand. 4, 5, okay. And opposed? Okay. Yeah. But thank you, Betty. Understand. All right, moving on. Consider approving a resolution confirming the multifamily housing facility in Brown, known as Coleman Mill Lofts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jessica discussed this item with council on Tuesday at the work session as well. The reason this is before you is nothing has changed other than that the financing ran into some unexpected delays, did not go through, and per your approval of this last year, those bonds had to be issued within a year. They will not as of July 13th in a couple days. So this is, again, committing the city to saying we want this project to move forward.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Ready to vote, all in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item 6, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate an extra contract dealing with J.D. Goodrum.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sheila discussed this item on Tuesday evening. This is for 2 changes to the renovations at Dorton Park, one being the complete replacement of the tennis courts, as well as replacing some collapsed storm drain pipes that were discovered. And so that total would be $211,901.86, and that's still under the budgeted amount for the project.
Thank you. Is there a motion from council?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Item 7, consider adopting a resolution for the authorizing sale of 900 square feet, .02 acres.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Sheila discussed on Tuesday, this is to rectify an encroachment issue of about 900 square feet near and at Gibson Field. So the address is 265 Meisenheimer Drive, and so staff would ask that council allow us to move forward and move this property to the owner.
Right. Is there a motion?
I have comments before a motion. Is that
Go
okay?
ahead.
Because legal may say this is not possible. I think this goes to upset bid, correct? After we talked about this Tuesday night, I thought about some things in my life. And when I look at this and that the land is not needed by the city and no one else could use that, I wonder why we're asking for $7,525.
The city is constrained by the general statutes in how it can dispose of property. And one of those constraints requires property to be sold at fair market value. That property has been appraised at that price. That's why an appraisal was paid for.
So
by the city.
that is the only option to start at $7,525. Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Motion approved, second? Motion second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item 7, item number 8, consider recognizing St. Andrews Place Homeowners Association.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ray Sean presented this to council on Tuesday night. This would be our 80th recognized neighborhood in the program, and if approved by council, this would have 61 of those neighborhoods be active. So staff recommends that council approve St. Andrews Place Homeowners Association into the city's Partnership for Stronger Neighborhoods program.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion from council?
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Andy, did that hand go up?
Yes.
It did. It was quick over there. Yeah, thank you. Number 9, consider approving neighborhood matching grants.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ray Sean, staying in the discussion item of neighborhood matching program. This is the annual matching grant program that council approves during the budget process in the total amount of $30,000. You see the 13 projects in the neighborhoods associated with those projects as recommended by staff. And so we'd ask for you to allow us to move forward with granting those grants to those neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion from council? I'll second that. Motion second. Any further discussion? No discussion. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Item 10, consider adopting an ordinance ordering demolition of a structure located at 90 St. James Street Southwest.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Chief Hughes discussed this item with council on Tuesday. This is the property located at 90 James Street Southwest. Code has taken all the proper steps and now recommend that we move forward to demolish the property.
Thank you. Is there a motion from council? Second. Got a motion and second. Any, okay, go ahead.
Madam Attorney, we've been through this before. Are we going to move forward and demolish this house if the owner will not at the city's expense? Is that
Yes, that is what the request is.
that's the request?
Correct.
And then how do we recoup that, Mayor, that money for the taxpayer?
Well, the cost of the demolition will become a lien on the property. And if the property is sold, that lien should be theoretically satisfied at the time of closing. We have seen cases where that didn't occur in the past, not too many, but once in a while it does slip through the.
But it's a lien, we can't
the thing.
foreclose on the property.
I see where you're going.
Right, right.
Okay, good enough.
I mean, possibly we could contact the current owner and ask if they're interested in selling the property. I don't know that anyone's done that.
Yes,
He did not respond to anything that we sent to him.
Is he in town? Do we know that?
No, I don't think he is. I know there was a whole bunch of back and forth about the insurance is getting ready to come and pay.
So it's an absentee owner, we think.
right? I mean, that's the communications that we've tried with them,
That came back.
came back to us, so.
You know the previous item, so.
Yes, sir.
Which is gonna be a lane that just sits there.
Essentially.
JC, we build can become,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think we're to a point of, is there a motion?
Yeah, Betty and John.
Betty and John have the motion in second. Now that we've had discussion, ready to vote, all in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Number 11, consider adopting ordinance amending Chapter 42.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ian discussed this with council on Tuesday night. This does address unauthorized takeoff and landings of drones on city property, so we'd ask that you allow the amendment as proposed.
Thank you. Is there a recommendation from council? Motion and second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Number 12, consider awarding a bid for electric materials, 13,200 feet of 500 MCM.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Caleb covered this item for council on Tuesday evening. The low bid for this proposal before you this evening is Border States Electric, 13,200 feet of 500 MCM primary feeder cable in the amount of $233,904.
Thank you. Is there a motion from council?
So moved.
Second? Okay, any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Number 13, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute with Aviation Management Consulting Group.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dirk covered this item. This is a request for the city to move forward with an airport strategic business plan. You can see the project will take approximately 12 months to complete at a cost not to exceed $247,800. And those monies will be coming from the CARE account, not city general funds. We'd ask that you allow us to move forward with this plan.
All right, is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Got a motion second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. 14, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a work authorization 2402 with Talbot, Bright, and Elling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dirk covered this as well on Tuesday evening. This is for construction administration for the, for the new fuel farm expansion out at the airport. So we'd ask that you allow us to move forward with this in the amount of $274,634.
Thank you. Is there a motion from council? Got a motion and second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. 15, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Southern Engineering and Testing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an item Jackie covered on Tuesday evening. You can see Southern Engineering Testing is the one selected for this project and whose staff is recommended to council this evening in an amount not to exceed $150,000 for the materials testing for the proposed fleet building that the city will be building.
Okay, is there a motion from council? Is there a second? We got a second? Okay, ready, any more discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. 16, consider awarding a total bid of City of Concord Annual Street Preservation Program to Farabee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Philip covered this item on Tuesday. This is our annual street preservation program, or street paving program, if you will. You can see, as indicated in your agenda notes, 19.19 lane miles of designated streets, 2,000 tons of patching on city infrastructure will be performed. The amount of the bid before you this evening is $4,085,602.95 to Farabee Corporation.
Thank you. Is there a motion? So moved, Mayor. Second? We got a motion, second. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. All right, number 17, consider awarding city annual contract installation of traffic signal equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Philip covered this item as well. Recommendation is to ALS of North Carolina LLC and a not to exceed amount of $150,000 for signal work across the city of Concord.
All right, is there a motion? Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? No discussion. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. 18, consider revising preliminary application for William Jordan Hall and Margaret Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jackie covered this item on Tuesday as well. This is a request for sewer service outside the city. The address is 520 Crestmont Drive. You can see city water is available to the property. And the staff recommendation is consistent with actions by council in the past to include annexation as part of this approval.
Okay, council, your recommendation?
Can I ask a question before we discuss this?
Sure.
I understand the criteria clearly. If we do not annex, does the applicant have to come back and apply for water if they or a future owner, or will they just automatically have it?
Yes, they would have to go through this exact same process again, should they want to connect to city water.
Got it. Interesting. All right, council. Any more questions before we ask for a motion?
Then I'm going to accept the staff recommendation that we approve this, but include annexation.
Move with annexation.
With annexation.
I second.
Okay, any further discussion?
So I do have discussion. Jeff's not here, so you may have to answer this. Isn't there so I know in the past that, and Ms. Hall has sat through this whole entire thing, so I do feel she's, and we did speak on the phone, so, and I know the precedent has been in the past, isn't that set by, okay, we usually look at the map and it's X amount of feet or X amount of, like, can you talk a little bit about how we make that determination, the difference between, JC doesn't have to annex, but Jennifer does because the water is available within so many feet or yards or whatever? Isn't there a number on that?
No, well, it's whether or not both utilities are available to the property. So I suspect if it's a certain amount of space away from the property,
Correct.
it would not be considered available. So if it would be cost prohibitive to go a quarter of a mile to get to the water main to tap on, then that would be, thank you.
Correct. It's roughly 500 feet, I think, is the
I knew
the
there was a number.
availability
Okay.
portion of it.
Okay.
But the annexation is not really tied to where it is at that point.
So it's,
Fully in front of this property.
so it's looking at that, and it's also in addition to it, the cost piece of it? Is that what I hear you saying? You're laying that over?
No, not exactly. Maybe I didn't say it properly. The city looks at where the main infrastructure is located in relation to the parcel. So if the main infrastructure, so the water main that you have to connect to, is 500 feet away from the parcel line, the city would consider that cost prohibitive for the landowner because they have to pay for that, right? The city doesn't dig the trench and lay the pipe. The landowner has to do that to connect to the pipe. So we would consider that not available to the parcel just because it would cost the property owner so much. And because when you annex a parcel, you're required to provide all available, all city resources that you provide to anybody else. So if you're requiring somebody to annex, both of those services have to be available to that parcel at a reasonable cost for the property owner.
Thank you.
Thanks for saving me, Valerie.
Thank you for saving me. I appreciate it.
I knew we had discussed it before. I felt it feels in this situation, it's really important to realize that it's a process. And yes, the council still has the discernment or decision to make. And I just wanted to make sure that was, thank you.
Okay, so we are with a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Did you all say we had a precedent for this? Did I hear that?
I don't know that the word precedent gets bandied around quite a bit, and I don't think it's quite accurate here. The city has traditionally, in my entire tenure, which is a little over 18 years at this point in time, if both services are available to a particular parcel and the parcel only is requesting one service, the city council has traditionally, and I cannot think of one example where they have not done it, required annexation.
Okay, that said, are you ready to vote? All in favor of the recommendation, raise your hand. All in favor of the recommendation,
Including annexation.
including annexation? All opposed? So we have one opposed, it passes. All right, moving on. Consider revised preliminary application for William Jordan Hall, oh, I'm sorry, consider a revised preliminary application for Christopher Byrne and Kelly Burden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jackie covered this item as well. This is a little different from the previous item. This is a request for sewer service outside the city limits. City water is not available to the parcel. Therefore, staff's recommendation is to allow the applicant to move forward excluding annexation.
Thank you. Recommendation from council. We have a second? And we have a second? Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? All right, passes. Number 20, consider a revised preliminary application for John P. and Peggy S. Furr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a request for water service outside the city limits at 1037 Manassas Drive. At this property, city sanitary sewer is not available at the property, so staff's recommendation is to allow the applicant move forward excluding annexation.
All right, is there a motion from council? Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, there's no further discussion. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? John, I've got to ask, this is confusing to me as to,
Nothing's up, just, I have a preference, I'm stating that we're going to vote no.
okay. Consent agenda, is there a motion to pass this consent agenda?
Second.
Motion is second. Ready to vote? All in favor? Raise your hand. Thank you very much. All right, going to the last of this is the matters not on the agenda. TAC.
I know we've been here 2 hours, but there's a few things that need to be talked about. I got Phil making sure when I mess up, he corrects me. To start with a little bit of good news, a couple of projects, the Eva intersection with Poplar Tent is very close to complete. It looks like they've even got the grass seed down, and it looks good. So that, only a year late, that's perfect. On better news, the bridges over Dutch Buffalo Irish Creek appear to be a little bit ahead of schedule. The first bridge is in. They're working on the second. There's 3 of them. It'll be one monster bridge once they finish, and that contractor appears to be on schedule. The last good thing is there's a little pack of money called CMAQ, which is air quality funding, and Philip got our 2 projects ranked at the top, about $7-8 million worth of work. Flow Store Road, Miami Church Road, sidewalk and intersection improvements, and the Cox Mill Loop Greenway and bicycle pedestrian bridge. And we feel like that funding may actually make it, correct?
That pot of funding is
Solid.
We got an award letter. We're just, next step will be municipal agreements on those projects.
So J.C., say that again. What will that funding do?
The first project is out on Flow Store Road in Miami Church, and its intersection and sidewalk. That's been around since before I was elected 7 years ago.
Yeah, right. That's along 601, US 601 from the Mary Frances Wall Center.
And then the other is mainly the pedestrian bridge at the Cox Mill Loop, which is tying back into Skybrook.
I'll let Sheila.
It's a part of the Cox Mill, and it's the
Green.
Greenway.
Yeah.
Clark Creek Greenway. We received initial funding around $1.5 million for CMAQ, and the project, based on the amount of neighborhoods, it ranked higher because of the impact of the Northwest, and we received the additional $2.1 million to move forward with this Greenway project. And it's the Clark Creek Greenway.
Very good.
Great. So that's good. And now to the bloodbath. DOT had a presentation on the next step, the Transportation Improvement Project. And we'll just kind of cut to the chase of it. We are in Region E for regional. Us in Division 8 share the regional. And what they've done is apply inflation numbers and committed, and they've also set, the Board of Transportation is making new estimates every 2 years. And with that, our region is now about, I'm gonna round up if it's okay, it's a $500 million in the red. They have committed $500 million more than we have. I don't quite understand that, but that's the number. On the regional, on the division side, just us Division 10, we're only $108 million in the red. So about $600 million. And then in one conversation with our director of the MPO, he said there's another project in Division 8 that's about $100 million over budget. And that's just going to keep tacking. What this means is no new projects. If you're in the red, there will be no new projects go into this STIP. So any project that we're trying to get in the STIP, like some of the poplar tent work, 73, it won't even be considered. It's just futile. Doesn't matter how many points it got, it's just futile. Beyond that, though, anything we have that is not in construction will be considered to be decommitted, whatever that means from D. You can use that any way you want to. And again, we're going to be competing with our friends down in Charlotte to try to figure out where this overage comes from. And they'll continue to reevaluate. And they warned us in the meeting that the deficits are going to go up. They've just overcommitted. We've got construction issues, and we've got inflation issues, and then we've got terrible funding issues. And it's a total mess. I can tell you the MPO was not happy about this. My question to the MPO director and DOT, it appears that we will have, besides what we've got now, we won't have anything for a minimum of 2 years. And the answer was, that is probably the answer. So we'll continue with this step that finalizes in 2025, right? June of 2025. But it's basically it's a 9-year plan that.
And they're currently in the public input phase right now.
Yeah.
Please share your public information to Division 10, to the NCDOT.
Yep. There's a map out there. If y'all want to go vote for our projects, we can put like 80 million votes on it and see if we get a project moved.
You can click on the little dot. You provide your few comments if it's a priority, yes or no, and then information if you optionally like to put that in there. But yes, you're correct. And from what I understand, the projects that are currently in right-of-way now, those are the ones that are moving. They've moved through right-of-way phase. We're approaching letting phase on some of those, but if it hasn't even got to design phase yet,
yeah,
all of that is on the table.
So the two Phils and I, that Phil and Phil Conrad, who's I think our two main ones, and we'll be talking to all of you, are the Union Cemetery that we desperately need, and the extension from the roundabout on Poplar Tent over to George Lyles would probably be I hate to say it, our best chance. I won't say our only chance, but that'll be our best chance, and we'll be talking if there's other projects that you want us to try for, but I mean, we're talking 600 million in the red.
And this is all over the state.
Well, no, some actually have, I asked if we could borrow some money from another division. Some of the divisions, you got to understand the funding. We get equal funding on a division basis, the same as a division that's got a fifth of the people that we have, because it's distributed equally. There is statewide money, which is interstates. There's almost $1 billion left there. Of course, when you look at an interstate, $1 billion doesn't go a long ways. So it's a funding issue, and it's a construction issue, and it's an inflation issue. Had one member of the MPO suggest that we just disband our MPO because it was a waste of time, and there wasn't a whole lot of argument against that. It's really kind of depressing. So that's all I got for TAC. Any questions for Philip?
Thanks. All right. Thank you, Philip. Something about my lifetime.
Yeah, no, it's official now, Bill.
Now it's yours too. Now it's yours. It's official mine, and yours is there too. Okay, Metropolitan Transit Committee, anything? No meeting. CK Transit, anything? No meeting?
No meeting.
Central Iowa Regional Council? No. Water and Sewer Authority of Cabarrus County?
You guys had the presentation at sewer meeting. We're just working on right now. Jeff and I are going to take all that information back and stack it with the housing, with the transportation, and just really try to bring all that back to you guys at a second work session at some point to figure out the direction of this council so we have clarity from a WASAC perspective as to how to represent Concord.
Thank you. We Build Concord, Dr. Graham.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
Evening.
Council, Ms. Koczynski, Ms. Deason, and of course, Mr. Payne. Really quick, Lincoln Street Townhomes, it looks like we met today, we're about 30 days out now from having everything fully paved. So there will be some certificates of occupancy coming shortly after that. One of the things that I want to make everyone aware of is that there is going to be next week a request for a proposal for construction finally at the Kerr Street Church project. And so the good thing about that is we anticipate that once that's done and a general contractor is selected, we'd probably be close to about 12 months out from being complete. So that's a good one for us. An exciting project for us. Corbin Street project, which is a 11-unit senior development. Next week, we'll also go out for RFP for architecture and engineering. And so if we can go with our original thought, it could be one of the first cottage village developments. We're really looking at setbacks, other things right now, because you do have a commercial property to its right, and it brings about a 20-foot setback, so it's making it a little more difficult to move forward with some of those plans that we originally anticipated, but we're trying to find ways to do it without losing any of the units themselves. Ms. Koczynski and my board member, Mr. Smith, have worked very hard to also provide us with an opportunity to acquire Wilson Street property that is currently with Parks and Rec. We are going to be working with Sheila's team to look at a plan for that. We right now looking at probably about anywhere from 5 to 9 single-family homes there. But our main thing too is that we want to partner with Park and Rec to actually have access to the Greenway, which is right next to it. Now, I will tell you, it won't be an easy task. I have walked that and gone through sort of a little jungle back there, but I think there's some ways to make it work. Other than that, the other good news I do have is that over the last few months, we developed our own deed restriction policies as well as our community land trust policies. And currently we have now Pinnacle Bank, Movement Mortgage, Gateway Mortgage, Fifth Third Bank, and Bank of America and NACA, the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, have all accepted these documents and now officially preferred lenders of the organization. So that actually is a good shot in the arm, particularly for our community land trust properties on many of these. So with that, I want to know if you have any questions. I know it's been a long night.
Okay, go ahead.
Dr. Graham, any feedback from the request on the money from the county that was going back to the state for affordable housing purposes? Didn't know if we'd made any headway there.
Yes, so we are in the conversation.
Very good.
We have contacted Senator Newton. His staff is actually trying to currently work with one of the committees, because I believe that money went right back into some either housing or it could be a general pot.
Yeah.
Sounds like it could be used over in Cannon Mills. But I think we would have to wait till another session. Probably looks like the fall, but I think if we get in line and go after it, I don't know how many others are aware of it and have gone after it. I've had some discussion though, also with our community land trust partners about the same amount of dollars. Thank you for that. Last thing I do want to say too, I think that's important for us all, is that the county, there's a proposal that we put out about a couple of years ago for a revolving construction fund. We presented that actually to Down Home, North Carolina, who decided that they would actually use that as one of their advocacy initiatives. Well, that actually passed. And so that $2 million will be used for a revolving construction fund that we will administer. But what's more important about it is that it's different from any of the revolving funds that we've seen across the country, is that it will literally have nonprofit partners, public entities, as well as some lending entities who will partner on making decisions on where those construction dollars go. And of course, because it's revolving, those entities then pay back into it, and then we use it on other projects. So it's kind of really exciting that, that the city and WeBuild, in leading that initiative, have really created something that will impact the system of housing as opposed to just the agency itself. So I want to thank you all for your support on that.
Yes, go ahead.
Patrick, can you please shoot me a copy of those deed restrictions that you've got approved?
Yes.
That would be super helpful.
Oh, yeah.
In Word format, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Graham.
Okay, thank you.
Public Art Commission, we have nothing yet, no report, but we're setting up a meeting to look at some applications for different commissions that we have. And JC, were you on the?
Yeah, I don't know where we are. Let's talk.
Okay. Okay, I will. We're trying to set this up to the meeting. Con 49? No report. Any more comments from council? Okay. There is no closed session tonight. So, thanks for everyone. Is there a motion to adjourn? In a second? All in favor, say aye. Thanks. So that's the one there.